Boxing is about handling pressure. And if you're talking about boxers who have aspirations of being one of the top boxers in their era, you've got to hold them to what they say they're going to achieve. You've got to hold them and their promoter to what they're predicting they're going to achieve in boxing. Now, there's a lot of Daniel Dubois supporters, or maybe Frank Warren supporters, who are taking people to task when they're questioning how far Daniel could go in boxing. When it was them who were proudly displacing Anthony Joshua, saying, he's not our guy, Daniel Dubois is our guy. They were saying that. They were saying Daniel's better than AJ, and maybe he will be, because he is younger. But he hasn't proven it as yet. They were saying this about AJ after AJ had been unified world champion, and he's been unified champion twice. Now, unless you're going to dispute what British Boxing News have to say, and it's a reputable site, they say Daniel was a heavy favourite against Joe Joyce. So a lot of you picked him, and I know a lot of you disappear when your pick goes wrong. You don't own it. I've said some mad shit on here, yeah, and I own it. I own it, and I'm cool with that. But you guys, you ran out on David Price when he lost, and you guys were hoarding him up like he was going to be the next big thing. And maybe Daniel will be the next big thing, you never know. I didn't pick Daniel to beat Joe Joyce. I didn't pick it. I picked Joe Joyce. I picked the more mature guy with the more seasoned amateur WBS pedigree. I picked him, and he won big. According to this website, Daniel is the betting favourite against Trevor Bryan, right? Now, excuse my lack of knowledge on gambling vernacular. It's not that good. But it says here, Daniel is a comprehensive favourite at minus 1,450. Bryan may be perfect so far in terms of his record, but the odds are against him. A plus 800 underdog, right? So Daniel is favourite again. And this is based on him beating guys like Bogdan Dinu and Nathan Gorman. What, do you think I predicted any of them fights to be competitive? No, I didn't. Daniel Dubois fought Richard Lartey. Richard Lartey has lost his last 5 on the bounce. Forget what BoxRec says. They're a little slow to catch up. Now, Daniel knocked him out in 4. Nathan Gorman went the distance with Richard Lartey. Fabio Wardley knocked him out in 2. Someone named Edliov knocked him out in Russia in 1. And Sergei Kuzmin recently knocked him out in 1. Richard Lartey landed a good shot on Fabio. Fabio didn't panic. He didn't panic at all. Watch Daniel panic against Richard Lartey. Watch the panic. Now, he didn't fall to bits or anything like that, but I marked it down early in the game. And I saw right there that the pedigree is questionable, at the least. And this is before he lost to Joe Joyce. I've always believed that Daniel has lacked in confidence. I've said it for a long time. And as for this upcoming bout, if it was in the UK, I would probably just say, yeah, Daniel wins this. Ring IQ showed me the face-off between Daniel and Trevor Bryan in Miami. And obviously Trevor was trying some mental games with him. And yeah, Daniel looked a little shook. Did look a little shaky.
This is good. You know what? I talk shit because I'm from New York. We know how to talk shit. We know how to talk shit and back it up. That's what we do. You know what I'm saying? Straight everything. They gonna come like this. I think you know how to do. I think you just start boxing. You just started boxing. You just started boxing. Okay, y'all sit down now.
You know, he was imitating how Daniel's going to fight, swinging with his head down. He was tormenting Daniel. You just learned how to box today. Look in my face, look in my face. And he was pointing his eyes right in Daniel's face. And Daniel didn't react that well. What was interesting is Trevor said this is the first time he's came at an opponent like this. So why Daniel? It obviously tells you that if they're not worried, they're taking it very serious. Very serious. More than Trevor's previous opponents, which haven't been all that. That's why Shane and whoever's there with Daniel has to get a grip of Daniel and tell him, look, they might be coming off as all cocky and aggressive, but that's not for you to take on. They could be bluffing. They're already doing that because they see you as a serious threat. They weren't doing that with their previous opponents. They got to build up Daniel with the affirmatives, strong platitudes, but they got to mean it. A lot has been made about Trevor's doughy physique. And it's fair if people are skeptical looking at his body. But let's not forget, the gypsy guy from Manchester, in a lot of people's opinion, is the best heavyweight right now. And he's got a doughy physique. Tim Witherspoon, Tony Tubbs, George Foreman in his comeback, all had a bit of girth around the midriff while they were holding belts. It's not bodybuilding. Now, I don't know what shape Trevor or Daniel is in, to be honest. I don't know. Like, what happens if Trevor can stick in there for a little while and land that jab, perhaps disturb the eye, which suffered an orbital fracture against Joyce? What happens then? What happens if he's got to dig deep again? Does he have it? What can Shane bring to the table? I think that he have to invest in a body, a thumping jab. He needs to slip punches a lot better. He needs to keep his head off the line. I said before Daniel lost against Joe Joyce, a little while before, that bulldozing everybody over is not going to work. But the Daniel fan base that he was developing, they were so enamored by the highlight reel knockouts. But who were they against? You can't just bulldoze everybody over. You can't. You're going to have to learn your craft. Training with Shane, yeah, that's great. That's great. But putting it into practice is difficult. And he's only had 2 fights since the Joyce loss, and they were one-sided blowouts. Was that Stacey McKinley I saw in Trevor Bryan's corner? These are experienced guys that work with the likes of Mike Tyson. We're talking about Shannon Briggs, Guillermo Jones, Ray Mercer, Jamil McClain, Povetkin, Tony Tucker. Larry Holmes was in Trevor Bryan's camp, giving him some pointers, Don King was saying. And you know, Larry is probably the best jabber in the heavyweight division, and he's going to be telling Trevor to get on that jab. Get on that jab. And I've said for a little while, Trevor has decent fundamentals. The conditioning may not be at its best, but he's unbeaten in 22 fights, 15 knockouts. And Daniel's got to take this seriously. He's got to take this very seriously, and he is taking it seriously. He must not let the occasion overwhelm him. If this was in the UK, where he's familiar with the settings, wherever they were holding the fight, I wouldn't have so much concerns. But Don King won the purse bid. He's out there in Miami. I didn't see Frank Warren out there with Daniel. I'm not saying Frank can fight for him, but Frank should be out there, backing his man. You know, Frank's seen it all before. He's experienced. He might not be a coach or a trainer, but he's an experienced guy. He knows about these occasions here. Maybe Daniel could do with someone like that there, just to give him a sounding board or a few words of confidence and reassurance that you can do this. Some people are saying that a lot of people are writing Daniel off because he lost. Now, I've watched this division and American boxing. Psychological warfare is real. It's real. Whether it was Ali rolling up outside Liston's house, making a whole load of noise, walking into the club where Liston was. Liston pulled a gun with blanks in it, and Ali ran out. And at the weigh-in, Ali was so hysterical, screaming at Liston, they took his blood pressure. And whether it's a true story or not, they was near the point of calling the fight off because his blood pressure was up near the roof. Ali got in his opponent's head. He did. He made a point of it. Sonny Liston himself, he didn't say anything to his opponents, but that stare broke a lot of men before one punch was thrown. Tim Witherspoon always tells the story when he came to Wembley to defend his WBA belt against Frank Bruno. And he said, yeah, I was staring at him, and he said, yeah, we can go now, we can go now. And he was giving him the hard stare, and he said, Bruno showed that fraction of a second, arm a little shook. And Witherspoon said to himself, I got him from there. And he knocked him out. It was a tough battle, but he knocked him out. He knocked Frank out. You know, people talk about Oliver McCall had a breakdown in the second fight with Lennox Lewis because he was crying. What they don't realize, he was crying on his way to the ring in the first fight when he knocked Lennox out. He was crying then, in the first fight. Regardless if they're psyching you out or psyching themselves up, they take this very seriously. Almost as important as going to the gym and doing sit-ups and press-ups and sparring. They take it serious. So if Daniel has flew across the pond and hasn't had this discussion with either his dad or Shane or his entourage, that They may go to this. They may take it to this level. They haven't done their homework. Don King is promoting Trevor Bryan. Don King brought Tim Witherspoon over here to knock Frank Bruno out. Don King brought Oliver McCall over to the Wembley Arena to knock out Lennox. Knowledge for the people, them. Beats is giving you some knowledge and game right here. You're not going to get this on any other channel. At least not in the UK. Don King was promoting Mike Tyson. Second fight with Frank Bruno. Las Vegas. Tyson was rolling around with Crocodile and all them thugs when he came out of jail. They were part of his entourage. You know what they did? They got all up outside of Frank Bruno's dressing room and started banging the walls. Bang, bam, 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 bang. We'll fuck you up, man. We'll kill you. Yeah. That's why when you see Bruno coming out, he's crossing himself like several times and he was shook. You could clearly see he was shook. And Tyson blew him away in 3. They decimated Bruno before a punch was thrown. I don't know what Don King's finances are like now, but I know that $3 million purse bid is not something he's going to give up lightly and just let Daniel run back to England with the interim WBA belt. No, he's going to try and make him sweat for that. Trust me. The weigh-in will be a next test for Daniel. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't know how good Trevor Bryan is. He hasn't really fought quality opposition. He fought a Wash, Berman, Stavern, and a few other guys. And I don't know how good Daniel is. He failed at his first big test. But Daniel mustn't get psyched out. He mustn't lose the fight by getting psyched out by the braggadocio from Trevor Bryan. I'm going to pick Daniel Dubois. And I'm not going to give you several different scenarios trying to cover my pick. But he is in America, and that gives me a little cause for pause. But I'm going to pick him to win. This is probably his toughest opponent to date. Aside from Joe Joyce, of course. Now, you got The Sun and the Daily Star, 2 British newspapers. Both their websites are reporting that Anthony Joshua is to ditch Sky Sports in favour of signing new mega money TV deal. Dazn are reportedly in the driving seat to poach Anthony Joshua's UK rights from Sky Sports. Could be legit, but we'll see. Why am I not shocked by this? Because I saw a picture with Tyson Fury, Sugar Hill, Tommy Fury, and Ben Shalom was at the table. And I was thinking, yo, I don't think AJ's going there. I think Sky are going to announce the signing of Tyson Fury, or they're hoping to, because I don't think he's with Bob Arum no more. Dillian was his last fight on the top-ranked contract. So expect a few announcements to shake up the foundations of British boxing in the next few days. I was scratching my head, thinking, what is Ben Shalom doing with Tyson Fury, having a party? I don't think they're best buds. It has to be business, surely. It has to be business. Despite what Adam Smith was saying, I was always thinking, why are you going to commit to a lifetime deal with Matchroom and then sign to Sky? That's too complicated. Your promotional deal is over here, but your network is over there. And the announcement could come as early as next week. All I know is I watched a lot of Adam Smith videos today, and he doesn't seem so confident now. You know, before it was, AJ has to sign with Sky. We've done a remarkable job for AJ since he turned pro. Where else would he go? No, he's backed off that overconfident demeanor that he had on the situation. He's backed off that now. Nothing announced, nothing confirmed though. But if he does go to Dazn, there's a few questions that need answering. Like, is it a mistake? Sky News, Sky Sports News, tremendous vehicles to promote fights, the more proven pay-per-view platform. Or, obviously a lot depending on how he performs against Usyk. AJ might be the missing piece that pushes the subscription base at Dazn, especially in the UK, into the phenomenal. What people are forgetting is AJ has endorsements everywhere. And don't be fooled. Sky, very powerful platform, yes. But what did you see on Sky? You saw a lot of AJ advertisements, like you see on a lot of satellite or terrestrial television stations. So that helped sell a lot of AJ's pay-per-view on that platform. Let's not get it twisted. let's not just give all the credit to Sky and how wonderful their machine is. A lot of that traffic is going over to Dazn, obviously, if he signs there. And if you're going to the train station or to the Sainsbury's and you see a Metro newspaper for free and Anthony Joshua's on the front cover, you're picking it up. Most people are picking it up. Even AJ's detractors, they're picking it up. When they see Conor Benn, Katie Taylor, not so much. No disrespect to them, but they just don't have the same kind of drawing power. But if you see AJ on a Metro newspaper, that's being picked up. And we have to see what DAZN can do. So it's up to DAZN to up their advertisement game, not just for AJ, but for DAZN boxing, Matchroom boxing in general. Now they have a franchise player there. Now, as I previously highlighted recently, who needs who more? Does AJ need Sky more than Sky need AJ? Now, Sam Jones, he tweeted, AJ cannot get any more famous. It doesn't matter what platform he fights on, people will still watch it, whether it's on Sky, DAZN, or Babe Station. And if you don't know what Babe Station is,
It's a family show.
this is a family show. I'm not going to explain what Babe Station is on here. Go look it up if you're that curious. And Billy Nelson, he replied to Sam Jones and said, loyalty, Sam, something that's missing in our sport. He said AJ lost twice and Sky stayed loyal to him. No, Billy. Despite the losses, AJ was still huge box office and still doing stadium fights. There's no loyalty here. AJ still has big box office value. That's the bottom line. Silly argument from Billy. Sometimes Billy would just argue for the sake of it. If AJ was to phone up Bob Arum tomorrow and say, yo, I want to work with you and ESPN, what do you think Bob Arum's going to say? Nah, fuck you, AJ. No, he's going to be all friends and smiles with AJ, and he's going to start talking him up. And so would Al Heyman. Billy's argument just ridiculous. So what were they going to do? Drop AJ after he lost to Andy Ruiz and then let some other network cream all the profits of AJ still doing stadium fights and massive amounts of pay-per-view? Dumb argument. It's a crazy argument. Loyalty. Buy a dog, is what Bob Arum said. Buy a dog. Sam ultimately hit the nail on the head. Sky need AJ more than AJ needs Sky. Without AJ, off the top of your head, right, give me a box office fight that Sky can make in the next 3 months with the current roster they have. A bona fide box office fight. What, Brook versus Khan? The rematch? In theory, this puts DAZN in the ascendancy with boxing in the UK. Before you throw your toys out the pram and say Tyson Fury, BT, Frank Warren, apart from Tyson Fury, they've got nothing else. BT, they've got nothing else, Queensbury. If you look at the output from DAZN and Matchroom compared to Queensbury and BT, it's not comparable. You know, like somebody made a point, half a point in the dialogue. He was questioning whether the football casuals on Sky, will they sign up with DAZN to watch AJ? That's a fair point. Are they going to pay out for extra apps? A lot of these football casuals, as the person titled them, a lot of people are cutting back on luxuries right now. That's a point. But some will and some won't. You will definitely see an increase in subscription. Now there's a few naysayers saying, well, AJ's market value has plummeted significantly. Now, I don't know about significantly. There was no way he was going to maintain 90,000 a stadium and 1+ million pay-per-views like he did against Klitschko and Parker. Now, maybe if he kept winning, he could have done, but he has lost. So there has been a dip. But some people are a little over the top with their doom and gloom. He's still a huge draw. It's a setback for Sky. They're used to having AJ doing big pay-per-view numbers. They're used to that. They've been getting used to that. And they're not going to be happy with AJ, but at the same time, they've had how many years that were very good with AJ? AJ's probably made them more money than any fighter they've had previously, including Ricky Hatton, Eubank, Sr., Joe Calzaghe, Carl Froch, you name them. Yeah, setback for Sky. Big setback. But a huge coup for DAZN. Let's see how they build on this.
Bye.